PHP Architect would like to thank Honey Badger for sponsoring this episode of the PHP Podcast.
Honeybadger.io, the web developer's secret weapon. Honeybadger offers exception, uptime, and cron monitoring all in one place, and it is easily installed into your web application. Deploy with confidence and be your team's DevOps hero. Their list of features can fit a team of any size. Are you just starting out? A fantastic free plan for life that you can use while your traffic is low. Are you an established business? Perfect. You should have a system in place to alert you to errors in real time, not finding out when your web visitors complain, if they ever do. In addition, their third-party integrations will let you connect some of the most commonly used alerting services so that you can know at a moment's notice if things go wrong. Head over to honeybadger.io to sign up for a free account to get started. And while you are listening to a PHP podcast, Honeybadger supports so many languages including Ruby, JavaScript, Elixir, Python, Go, and so many more. Head over to honeybadger.io and start your trial today.
Welcome to the official podcast of PHP Architect. Join us to listen to the latest news and tech talk from our conferences, the magazine, and wider PHP community.
You're listening to the PHP Podcast for November 2021, Volume 20, Issue 11, The Art of Data. I'm your host, Eric Van Johnson, and with me is John Congdon.
Hello, hello.
Hey, John, how's it going?
It's a going.
Another issue under our belt. How's it feel?
It feels great. We're getting better and better every month.
This one definitely went a lot smoother than the first month, that's for sure.
Hopefully it just keeps going in that pattern, and eventually it's like we just roll with it.
Yeah, for sure.
It works.
Let's jump into it, though. This month we have one of our feature articles, Cryptography with Libsodium with Vinicius Capitelli. He is actually our interview podcast we released last week, so if you're interested, go take a listen to that one, but we will move on.
Yes. Next we have Exploring the Active Record Pattern with Alexandros Gougoussis. I always butcher his name, but I appreciate him writing for the magazine nonetheless. Goes in depth into the active record pattern, which many of us probably use, especially if you're working with Laravel and Eloquent. You're using the active record pattern, and just does a great job of describing what it is and how it's used and how you can use it, not necessarily within a framework, but if you're not using a framework.
Yep, I did appreciate this. I am a fan of the active record. Next, we have Security Corner with Eric Mann, No Bug Too Small. This one hits a little close to home sometimes.
Yes, it does.
He takes a moment and accounts for a project he used to maintain in the past, where he got a small bug report that didn't really think it was very important for his immediate attention, and it turned out that that small bug was a pretty big problem, and he had to go in there and fix it.
I love personal stories like this, like hearing from a real developer with real issues that they had. As soon as I read this, I wrote to Eric and shared my own personal story of something kind of similar, and it's interesting. It's interesting how something so small turns out to be so big.
I agree. It's always nice to hear like the mistakes you make as a developer and you think, I can't believe I did that. And then you find out, you know what? Everybody does that at some point. It's very common. So yeah, I'm with you on that 100%.
Exactly. In the workshop, Joe Ferguson brings us an intro to Craft CMS. I'm sure lots of us have used or do use a CMS, and Craft CMS is just another tool on your tool belt.
Yeah, the problem with Joe's writing is he makes everything look like it's so much fun and really kind of distracts me from getting work done. Like, all of a sudden, I feel like I really need a Craft CMS instance somewhere. So I need to talk to him about that.
We need to find a way to use that. Yeah, can you make your writing less interesting?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you're into this, I mean, WordPress is another big one that the PHP community is obviously very familiar with. Craft CMS looks like it's a lot of fun. CMSs are fun. They meet a need.
Yes, they do.
Also, last month, I had the pleasure to sit down and talk to, I interviewed, I'm just going to go with his name, Karate, because I'm sure I will butcher Wasim.
Yeah.
Wasim Karate.
Also known as 7PHP on Twitter.
7PHP, who is now the voice behind Voices of the Elephant. He's doing the interviews for Voices of the Elephant now. It was real fun talking with him. I've seen him on social media for years. You brought it up. I forgot where we were talking about it, but a few years back, the community had gotten together and sponsored Karate to come to Sunshine PHP one year. I remember seeing all that happen. That was fun. So it was good to get a little bit more insight on who he is and what his plans are.
Definitely. It was a great little interview you had back and forth with him. It's interesting to read.
Thanks.
Next, we have Ed Bernard brings us Problem Space in his Here Be Dragons column. It was a great job of talking about gatekeeping and burnout in development in general, and tells some fun stories of his past. And again, those personal stories from other developers make it a very interesting read.
Next, we have our PHP Puzzles by Oscar, Compounding Interest. And I really feel like I should pay more attention to this one. So this is a solution from last month's exercise and around compounding interest.
And the amortization table.
Yes. I really enjoyed these exercises. I'm happy Oscar stayed on board to rate them. I need to find time in my life to actually give them a try before he offers the solution. So maybe I'll try to get next month's done.
It's going to be one more economic puzzle that he is bringing to us. So I think we should both take a crack at it and see how close we are to his solution before we receive it. Is it a challenge? Challenge accepted?
Sure.
All right. Education Station Chris Tankersley brings us Handling Data Access, and he touches on Active Record and an ORM. He kind of gives the basics around both of them, so the feature article delves a little deeper into it. But again, just a great overall look at how to handle data within an application. Different ways of handling data within an application, I should say.
Yeah, this kind of adds to our feature article around Active Records. Chris talks more about active records as well as data mappers. It's good. It was a good, hearty, data-filled article.
It is the art of data.
Okay, so finally, we have a fun one to talk about. We're a little late in recording this podcast, obviously. This is for the November edition, and we are, to be fully transparent, recording it December 1st. We apologize. But Beth Tucker Long, in her Finally article, talks about the change within communities. And one of the things she touches on was the change that the magazine recently went through with the people who were behind it, mainly from my perspective. Oscar decided to do other things and handed it off to John and I. Little did we know this was foreshadowing a much larger change in our community.
The PHP community, mainly Nikita Popov, who is viewed as the lead developer within PHP core, PHP internals, was employed by JetBrains for, I want to say, a couple of years, being paid to work on, was it? Mm-hmm. Being paid to work on PHP internals, which is fantastic. But as we've seen time and time again, things change. Change is inevitable, and Nikita decided to step away, not only from JetBrains, but from PHP in general. I guess he's very interested in lots of languages and works on core of couple other languages and has decided to make that his primary focus. So JetBrains has stepped up and created a PHP Foundation, and the foundation is going to be a nonprofit organization to help fund the next group of people that are going to maintain PHP and make sure it has a flourishing future.
Yep. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that next month, because that will be the focus of Community Corner next month. But just in general, let you guys know, let Nikita know if he's listening, how much we appreciate everything he's done for PHP. I think he's made a lasting impact to the language and to the community. And just thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Definitely. Thanks for all you have done, and please come back.
To include in our transparency theme here, PHP Architect did join the PHP Foundation. So we are contributors to the PHP Foundation now.
Yep. Again, more on that next month.
Next month. We will talk more about that. As for this month, however, that's going to do it for the November issue of PHP Architect. We want to thank everybody for tuning in. We want to thank everybody who subscribes to PHP Architect. It's been such an exciting kind of adventure for John and I. If you're not subscribed to the magazine and you want to hear more about the articles we discussed in this podcast, sign up today. You can get a free magazine just by creating an account and giving us your email. We'll give you a free magazine, and ideally you you like it and you want to subscribe. We have both digital and print versions of the magazine, plus a lot of books and more books coming.
Definitely.
For November 2021, keep listening,
keep coding,
and keep reading.
This has been PHP Podcast, the official podcast of PHP Architect, the industry's leading tech magazine and publisher, focused on PHP and web development. Subscribe today at phparch.com to see what the leaders in the community and industry are talking about.